I want to start by just asking you, you have such a long history of directing excellent action movies. Brideheart is an action movie, but I'm curious how you approach action that skews towards comedy differently when it's a little more dramatic in nature, or if you don't approach them differently.
I don't really approach them differently. It's just that with the comedy, you've got to keep the comedy going through the action. You can't have two films, that mixed together like that without there being some cohesion. So the action has to have comedy in it. So it's pretty much once you've turned on the comedy muscle at the beginning of the shooting, you just don't turn it off, even when you're doing the action sequences. It's not that hard. It's the same process. Technically, we still, work everything out meticulously. We still rehearse the action. But I'm allowed to sort of be a little bit more outrageous with the action, things that couldn't necessarily happen, or that are also just funny way of doing the action, things that are maybe not as cool as in a straight action film, but are nevertheless sort of good fun and tense and exciting, but have a twist that make you laugh about it. So it's not that different.
Can you tell me a little? I'm interested in how the talent that you're working with sort of dictates some of the ways you have to approach, like when people can get punched, if they can lose, like, and if working with, working with Rebel Wilson is maybe a lot different than working with Jason Statham, and how you that opens up possibilities or limits them. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I mean, no, the lead of the movie, your hero is your hero, whether it's Rebel Wilson or Jason Statham. So the same rules apply, as they generally don't lose, apart from just before they win. So you definitely always put them in a position where you feel like, oh, they're not going to make it. And so you have to feel that they're in jeopardy, and that they may not get through this. But of course, the hero always wins. So it's no different with Rebel or Jason. It's just um, it's a little more funny how they get there, but they both win in the end.
So, I want to talk through a couple, just like going back over history. You've worked with, like I mentioned, Jason, like you've worked with so many greats like Nicolas Cage, John Travolta, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Bruce Willis. The list is just endless, really. What are some things you can tell us about, different action talents and stars that you've worked with that maybe would be surprising? Is there anything?
Um, it's not really the things that are surprising are not really necessarily about the action. There's weird little things that happen on set that you don't expect. Like I've with Nicolas Cage and Jason Statham, the contrast there is I both had a scene where they had to write a letter, and Nicolas Cage has terrible handwriting that you can't read at all, and Jason Statham has the most beautiful handwriting you've ever seen in your life. Which is it's very unexpected to me. I would think, a tough guy like Jason wouldn't bother, but he obviously was taught, went to some school that taught him to write absolutely beautifully. And, so those are the surprising things. The action things, everybody is sort of, has a slightly different style. Um, Style is completely, Tasmanian devil. And, when she's in a fight, she just goes crazy. And no matter what you've rehearsed, she goes through the moves, but those moves, she's got a wild-eyed, crazy-haired, thing going on that
That's
is very
fun.
different to anybody else I've shot with.
So you always got to adapt a little bit to what they're giving you, right? In what
Yeah, as soon as you see what their strength is, or what their unique style is, you go, you embrace that, and I go, oh, how can we use that to our advantage? And so with Rebel, I just let her rip, and so we would rehearse the sequences, but once she's in there screaming and shouting and going wild, she's on her own, and I just stand back and shoot it.
And it's fun to watch for that reason. Can you tell, your collaboration with Jason is pretty awesome. You've done a few. Is there any project you're working on with him again or would do with him again? Do you guys have an ongoing communication?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've done three movies with Jason, and we always enjoy working with. each other, and I think we're both proud of the films we did together. So every now and again, there'll be something that comes up, and I think, oh, Jason might like this, and if he's available or if he's interested or he hasn't done something like it, we would definitely talk about it. So I'm sure we will do something in the future together because we really enjoy working together. It's just got to be the right thing for both of us. That we both want to do something different and not the same as either of us have done or either of us have done together. We always want to do something a little bit different. So it's finding that magic project, really.
Yeah, you keep having to kind of innovate, like, and stay ahead of it because, you've done action a lot and like you keep finding new wrinkles in it. And I'm curious to hear you talk a little bit about Fortitude in particular. It seems like a really exciting project, and I'm curious what you can tell us about it.
Well, that's again, it's very interesting to me because it's period, and I've only done a limited amount of period films, and so it's fun doing that because every single thing in front of the camera has to be authentic to that period, and so filmmaking is all about control, and if you're doing a period film, it's ultimate control because nothing can be out of place for that period. And it's a period I'm very interested in, the Second World War, and it's a spy story which I'm also very interested in. So anything that's do Second World War, spy, espionage, and it's an outrageous kind of story. It's a which I'm also attracted to. It's a very theatrical story where people from the theatre world and the film world of that period came into the military and the espionage world and uses their talents to sort of defeat an enemy, and it's a very unusual mixture. So I'm very excited about that.
That is really cool. Thanks for sharing. Last question I got to ask, like, you directed one of the most famous music videos of all time in Rick Astley's Rick Roll. Like, is there something you can tell us about doing that? I've always wanted to ask you, and I'm curious. It's in our lives. It's such a common touchstone.
Yeah, well, it's strange because it was one day out of my life a long time ago that I had no idea. I mean, whenever you do any film, when I did that or I did Con Air, or you never know what impact. No one would have thought that this tiny one day music video I did when I was 20 years old would. I forgot about it for years, and then it started to come back and haunt me. But it's just a weird phenomenon, and when it's in the billions of views, I have no idea why, and I don't know if anybody does really, but I would love to get Rick in one of my movies, so I could I could bookend that chapter.
I love that idea. You've done so many things that are such an imprint, though, like from Con Air, all these things, Expendable. So it's one of many things of you that's just like permanent cultural fixtures. I got to wrap, but I want to thank you again for taking the time, and I really appreciated chatting with you, Simon.
Thank you. Nice to talk to you, George.